Okay, today we're going to evaluate a new warm blood. He's a 2-year-old, going to be a jumper, and they just want to get a head start on his program. They're probably not going to ride him for a couple years, but I've got no preconceived notions if he's got bad habits or good habits. They told me minimal handling, and looks like he's pulling on that rope a little bit. So we're going to remember all this stuff that we do today and kind of put together a plan on how to get him better and heading towards being a saddle horse. Every horse is different. If you try to train every horse the same way, you will succeed part of the time and you will have trouble and struggle part of the time. Every horse is different. So first thing we're going to do is we kind of know that he tested that rope a little bit. Hey buddy, back up. Back up. We're going to bring him over here and see how he is about taking this blanket off of him. They got it on him, and I'm not going to treat him like he's a desperado. I'm going to treat him like he's one of my saddle horses. And we'll go from there. His attention span's a little short. Now I like to take blankets off over their heads. So we'll see if this is possible. I like closed front blankets. So I'm just going to rub him here. When he drops his head, I'm going to take that off. So far, so good. We know his attention span's a little short. He's okay with having that blanket off over his head. He tested the rope, but he never really pulled on it. Well, we use this. So I use flags quite a bit. So one of the first things I'll do is I'll expose him to this and see how he does. I want to rub him all over and I want him to stand still. Doesn't matter what breed of warm blood he is. If you're not doing too much, he ought to stand still. There's no reason in the world for him to fidget, jump around, and not relax. Because soft, quiet, and relaxed leads to balance and self-carriage on their own. What I've noticed so far is he doesn't stay hooked on to me too good. It's not terrible, but he's looking all over the place, and I am going to touch him everywhere. Nice. Now, can he give ground? I'm going to shake this rope left and right, just like I was riding, left and right, and see if he can give ground. He don't know much about that. I'm going to make him back up a step now. There's 2 steps. That's what we were trying to get. Good. Good, good, good. We know we need to work on that back up just a little bit. It needs to be lighter. He seems to be a friendly sort. If I pick up with this rope, this halter rope, that's simulating pulling up to your hip bone while you're sitting on his back. And that's what's going to move his inside hind leg. It's not going to be me leaning like this and scaring a body part away. I don't want that. I want these reins to control this foot. I'm going to pick up here and we'll wait for him. It's pretty heavy, but he did move it. Not too much problems. He moved that foot. We're going to try this other side. I'm going to pick up. I need that inside hind foot. There. So he's had some of this kind of stuff done. Blind spots. We'll see how soft he is. Right now he's showing that he's a little heavy. If I was riding him and I picked up, I'd want him to stay level and bring his face over, just like that. I didn't pull out to the side. I'm trying to emulate what I would do if I was sitting on his back. And there's a time and place for pulling out to the side. But remember, we're just evaluating this guy. I'm picking up to my seat bone. There. There. And I want his ears to stay flat. I don't want him moving, and I don't want him twisting his head and putting his nose right there. That'll put a twist in his spine that will fight with the rest of his life, and we don't want that. So he knows a little bit about that. Now I'm going to flip this over his back a little bit. He's not allowed to touch me for the rest of his life. So I'm going to start teaching him to get back, because he comes into you and he's looking away a lot. I'll rope them feet. Not too bad. He just seems like a nice, kind little guy. Yeah, he's a guy. I get so many horses in here, I don't know what I'm touching. It don't matter. We just dance with who we took to the party. Now, if I was riding him, I'd want him to go forward when I touched him with my leg. So there's my leg. I'm going to keep doing this until he steps forward. See how much it takes. I don't want to pull him like a bucket calf. I'm going to try to keep my hands behind his eye the whole time I work with him. There! That's a good boy. When he went forward, I filed away how much it took. One thing you won't see me doing is picking up on this rope and hitting him in the butt to scare that hip away. I don't want no body parts afraid of me. He's too close to me, I'm going to back him up again. He's going to learn that he can't touch me. He has to. He's just a baby. And when he finds out that he's big, doesn't take too much for him to get real pushy and kind of scary. Now I want to see if I can get him to go forward on this other side. Keep pushing his head away, but I'm not going to pull him. There. As soon as he started moving, I let him go. Now if I was to pick up, could I get that inside hind leg? And could I back him up? Yeah, not bad. Not bad at all. Now is he afraid of my rope? They've done a little bit of this stuff with him, which is good. I am not complaining at all. But every horse that comes in here gets a first lesson. In that first lesson, we find out what they can do, what they need to work on, what's the most important thing. Horses that push into you, we want to teach them to get back. Horses that pull back and try to get away, we want to teach them to draw to us. It's just an example of how every horse is different. Now we're going to see if we can drop his head. How soft is he? There. 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 That's good. So far he's getting a C, C+. My expectations of performance are a little more than what he's given me, but I'm not going to be mean to him to get him up to the level I think he needs to be. I'm going to educate this horse. It looks to me like he's going to be real easy. And if you got a lot of horses, if you get a lot of horses in, this is a pretty easy way to find out what you got yourself into. But develop a plan so that these horses succeed every single day. Just because the first 3 horses could, yield their hindquarters and run backwards and then change directions and lope off. You try that with one that's not ready for it, because that's the way you've been doing all day, and it might be more than that horse can bear. It doesn't hurt to find out what they know and what they don't know, so that you don't just try to pound them into a shape or a form that they're not ready for. It's rude. If you used to get a new job, they wouldn't put you in the key position in the company until they found out if you could do anything. The same with these horses. Now we're gonna see if he knows anything more. See, I want to pull his head away, push his head away. I don't want to pull him forward. I don't want to teach him to pull on me. That means go forward. Yeah. Legs mean go forward. And this is my legs right now. Every time he stops, rule number 2 is they don't get to dictate direction or speed. Well, I'm having to get a little bit bigger to cause him to move. And sometimes when you do this, they'll take 3 or 4 steps and then they'll run off and try to get away. So that's pretty common. If you'll notice, I'm only touching him where my leg would go if I was riding. I want that to mean go forward. Yeah. And every time he does, I quit kicking him. Now we're going to change directions with him. I move that inside hind leg. Let's see if we get this shoulder. There. Forward. Forward. Try not to pull him if you can help it. If you have to, you have to. But you file that away. He's not allowed to dictate direction or speed. So he's got to keep moving until I ask him to do something else. But if he is moving, I have to quit kicking him. Inside hind leg, left and right. So my assessment of this guy is real gentle, really teachable. My job now is to educate him and not wreck him. We're going to give him another shot at this wall. I intentionally didn't pick up his feet at the first evaluation. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. Doesn't matter. I rubbed all 4 of his feet with the flag. Got 0 reaction. Those feet have been farriered. I can look at them and tell. We'll just incorporate the feet into the daily work. No big deal. But it would serve you well if you planned out what you were going to do with each horse and then be adaptable. If your plan doesn't work, that's okay. Just put together a different plan. But at least you have a starting spot. And it's easier to have a starting spot with a horse if you check him out first. You wouldn't buy a saddle horse unless you could ride him in all 3 gaits on a loose rein. I wouldn't think. The same thing with these horses when they send them to kindergarten. You don't ask them to do stuff that's above their pay grade. I didn't ask him to go sideways. I didn't ask him to come over to the step-up box and pick me up. There's plenty of time for that. So put together an evaluation of 4 or 5 things that are really important to you. And before you start putting a horse through the program, check those out and see if that's where you have to start. Just a thought. Hope it helps.